had a word with myself. I'm back in the room.
I also had a word with you.
But it doesn't stop.
It doesn't stop.
You have to keep going with it.
It doesn't stop at all.
If I, right, so let's say I went to you, do you know what, Joe? I feel like I'm done now. I feel like I don't need any of that stuff anymore and I don't need the help anymore. What do you think would happen to me?
You'd be straight back where you were.
I don't know if I'd be straight back.
Because it'd be a gradual process back. I think it's easy to fall back into a habit, isn't it?
Yeah, I feel like I would revert to, I would never go back. I feel like, honestly, I would never go back to how I used to be. But I feel like I'd go back a certain amount. I would undo.
You'd almost, you would naturally... Yeah, you'd naturally kind of like just take your foot off the gas, wouldn't you? And you'd stop that movement. And I think you'd get to a point where, and I do see this a lot with people, they feel like they've almost got what they've needed. So I've been with a particular business group for about 5 years now. And I've seen people come and go during that time because it's a 12-month program and I've just stayed in it. And the people that I've seen have stayed in it have continued to grow in some way, shape or form, whether that's from a money point of view, but definitely from a personal point of view, and definitely from a work-life balance point of view. And then the money kind of naturally just fits in with that quite nicely. But then I have seen people that do that 12-month stint and they have an amazing 12 months. And then I see them pop up again maybe 2 years later because they stopped and everything just went stagnant and they tried to keep doing everything the same. But times move on. People change, you change as a person. And without that continuous growth and that continuous awareness of yourself, you just can't keep going. And I think it's something that can be quite detrimental to this industry specifically, that a lot of amazing trainers have been in this for a long time and nothing's changed.
Yeah. And our interview with Lauren that we've done, she said, how many good people leave the industry because they can't make it work.
Yeah. So it's surrounding yourself with those people. It's leaning into your personality to a degree and finding out more about yourself and going, what type of person am I? Who am I actually hanging around with? And I do think it's a really good exercise to jot down, visualize it, however you want to do it, talk about it to someone. Think about the conversations you're having with people on a day-to-day basis. So that could be clients, like I say, it could be friends. It's people you spend the majority of your time with.
Fun fact, you are the product of the... No, start again. You are... What am I trying to say? You know the little, the little phrase I'm trying to say. You are the product of the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Yes.
That's probably not how it should be said, but that is basically it. The 5 people you spend the most time with is how your outlook on life will be.
Yeah, you'll be the average of it. You could be the average salary. You add it all up and you are about the same. So you have to be really aware of who you're spending your time with. And for me, it's something that I have worked really hard on over the last few years, and I've made some tough decisions to get people out of my life. And it sounds really brutal, doesn't it? But I've realised that actually I've outgrown them.
So I think 2 ways about this. I think that it's an age thing as well. So I think as you get past 30, definitely, you have life laundry.
Hearing these things today.
Coming out with them all today. So this is something that me and my husband talk about a lot, is life laundry, and that you've carried these people for a long time in your life, thinking they'll bring something
clearly needed
to
a
it.
good wash. Life laundry.
I love that. Have you composed yourself?
I'm getting there.
Right.
So yes. Thank you very much to the editing team. We are desperately trying to... I've lost my voice now. We are desperately trying to keep in the laughter, but we will continue. So, picking back up.
So, when you hit your 30s, you go, done with that person naturally. You have that kind of slide away of certain people. And then I think you also have that mentality of going, do you know what? Those people, or some people do, of going, those people are no good for me. They do bring me down.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true. And I think you have to be, it's being aware of it, isn't it? It's like you're going to get those ones that naturally filter off. But then you've also got to be really conscious about who and where you spend your time. So for me, it was a massive awakening, I suppose, to go, I love my family to bits, but they're not the best people for me to be around if and when I'm working on my business, because they see it as lots of unnecessary risk I'm taking with investment in terms of getting additional coaching and external support. They see it as it's not a safe job because there's no guaranteed income.
And it's not a proper job.
It's not a proper job.
Never a proper job.
I get that all the time.
And it's the outside looking in as well, isn't it? They're not in it like you're in it. So they're never going to know what experiences you're actually having. They're just seeing it from a peripheral sort of position, aren't they?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I think I would always, I am of the mindset that you absolutely need to get other people in to support you on your journey in whichever way, shape or form that looks like, whether that is a coach, a mentor, even how I started with finding other dog professionals at conferences and just really connecting with them and understanding more about them and how they run their business, and just creating those amazing friendships, which I know a lot of us do, but it's taking it that next step further to go, right, okay, so how can I take the positives from that meeting, apply it to my life, which is in turn your business? Because I think it's also fair to say in our industry, your business and your life are part and parcel, aren't they? You don't tend to look at them as two separate things. No. It just blends into one. So I think the more work you do on yourself and your awareness, including those people around you, you will naturally grow in so many different areas and your business will take on a whole new shape and form.
Yeah, and also go back to the sort of networks and the connections. That's a massive aim with us, isn't it? To try to get, because there are these groups, and we've already mentioned Facebook groups and stuff, but the vibe is really negative. So like our priority is to get that vibe high, because if we're up, people are going to come up with us, aren't they?
Yeah.
So that's what we really want to do to make, I think, a difference in just that element of like what we're doing, is to have a group that is pretty much positive. Yes, okay, you're going to have struggles, but you want people to give constructive advice, a bit like I was in that example that I gave when we were at our mastermind. I want it to be very similar to that. I want people to go, right, okay, so I was having that experience and I think I can help you because I've been there and overcome that. And if they can't answer, we can answer. So I'd really like, that's our aim with this, isn't it? To get that vibration high. And it is if you feel good and you feel positive, good things happen. Like we're reading and listening to some really amazing books at the moment, aren't we?
Yes.
About the law of attraction and manifestation.
We need to do an episode on this.
We do need to do it, because we could talk for ages about that on its own. But it's really flipped my thinking, because we do focus on the negative stuff and that's what we attract.
Yep.
And it's so, I was saying to you on the way here, like it affects your health and relationships and everything, doesn't it? It's not just work. Forget just business and work for a second. Let's just look at life. Like you will attract if you're constantly thinking, I'm never going to find the right person, I'm never going to do this, I'm always on Tinder and is Tinder even a thing anymore? I don't know. Never been on a dating app, but you know. You're never going to get the right person if you're just constantly thinking, I'm going to just spend my life on my own and I'm going to attract weirdos are on there. All you get is the dregs of what's left because all the good people are taken. It's that same sort of, it's that same thinking, isn't it? And that's what you will attract.
Yeah, which is why all of these community groups are full of, I'm sick of working with these clients, I'm not making a full-time wage, I'm doing all of this. And I'm very conscious that actually we're kind of highlighting all of the negative, but I think it is it's just so prevalent everywhere you go, isn't it?
Yeah.
There is definitely a lot more of it. And I genuinely don't believe it's an intentional thing. And I don't even think anybody's aware that they're doing it.
I just think if they could step away from it and look in, they would probably see it.
That's the view we kind of see it at. So by no means is this like a bashing thing. It is genuinely, because we have done so much work on ourselves and our own mindset, and we surround ourselves with people that are aspiring for greatness in very different ways and different walks of life, you become very acutely aware when there is some kind of offness about something. It doesn't have to be like a person but it's just something, isn't it? Like there's a weird thing that you go, that's kind of just brought me down a little bit.
Yeah.
And you're very aware of it.
Yeah. And back to like, I'm really sort of into like the vibrations and stuff like that. And we are going to get somebody on the podcast that is going to talk about this more as well, about keeping your vibrations high. But it's, if you've got if you kind of can get yourself high, you can get yourself high most of the time.
It's true.
If you can keep that vibration high, and then you do have a little bit of that negativity around you, it won't affect you as much as if you're down there anyway, and it will literally suck the rest of it out of you. So I think if you can always just, like Joe said, surround yourself with people that are thinking in a nice, positive way, you're more likely to be able to absorb that and not let it dent you or kind of like knock those hopes and dreams that you've got and those visions that you've got as well. Before we finish this, I just want to touch on, we talked about how much past experiences can affect your drive. And I want to let's quickly touch on past employment. So like, you were in corporate, I've done various different jobs before landing where I am now, but I worked in hospitality for my early employment days. And I feel like that made me really resilient, because you get working in customer service, like I worked in hotels and pubs and things like that. And do you know what? I was such a shy, believe it or not, I was really shy as a kid. And I feel like the minute I worked in pubs, you deal with everything. There was so much thrown at you. There were so many different people. Some people are really friendly. Some people are really rude. Some people are like using you as a, the regulars come in, they used to stand at the bar and their highlight was probably just chatting to somebody for the evening. And, lots about like, I knew what drinks they wanted, what time, you can almost like set your watch by some of these people. And like, I look back to that really fondly, like those days where I worked in sort of locals, pubs and stuff like that. But also the dealing with the shit side of it, like the customer service, you're on reception and you're open to people. Yeah. Like, you're the first point of contact. If there's something wrong with their room, they come to you and they shout at you, and you just have to, first of all, crumble, because that's what you would do as a young, young 20-something. And then you just learn to be resilient about that. So I think that drive for me, in a kind of roundabout way, comes from those kind of experiences and gives me that like ability to bounce it back a bit and go, do you know what, if that didn't work, it's fine, we'll try the next thing.